What if I told you that your purpose doesn't require confidence? It requires commitment. Hi, my name is Tami, and I am so excited for you to be here today at the Full Weight of Joy podcast. Today we're talking. I get so many comments about I just don't have the confidence. I don't know what I'm doing. And I want to address that today because how many times, if you look back in your life, how many times did you have the confidence before you took action? And let's face it, our purpose is the same thing. Our calling, we're not going to start having the confidence for it until we're actually doing it. And so I want you to put down all those limiting beliefs today about the fact that you're not ready, that you don't have the confidence, that you're not brave enough, that you're not good enough. And I want to commit to you. I want to show you that commitment is actually the first thing that we need. And so first, let's talk about the fact that confidence is a byproduct, not a prerequisite. When we start riding a bike, we don't have confidence in riding our bike until we actually start doing it, until our parent releases their hand and we're sailing down and they're yelling from afar and be like, "You're doing it." When you stepped into school, when you stepped into high school and you had to write your first paper, or we had plays that we had to put on. We had a Shakespeare festival every year, and we had to perform an act and scene, like a scene from Shakespeare in this. And I had no confidence in my acting ability. That's not something that it's not even something I enjoy doing. But when you do it 5 days in a row, you start to gain the confidence. By the time you finish it, you have the confidence that you know what you're doing a little bit more. When you are walking into your first job, whether you went to college for it or not, when you sit down at your desk, did you know exactly what was coming your way and how to do it? Did you have the confidence that you could accomplish it? No. Confidence is a byproduct of action. It is not a prerequisite to start. And so we feel like we need that confidence before we can start. Like, I need to be ready. I need to feel like I know what I'm doing. Oh, here's a big one. Like, I thought that I knew what I was doing when I was pregnant and I was, ready for Isaac to come home. We had the name picked out, we had the nursery picked out. And then we were being discharged from the hospital, and it was like, that's it? You want me to sign 3 papers? I don't know what to do with this human. It took longer for me to get a car than to bring home my son. We don't have the confidence until we do it. When I had my daughter, I knew a little bit more. She's completely different child, and completely, she had the same needs, of course, but in a completely different way. But I still had the confidence that I could figure it out because I've done it. Before you step into your purpose, you're not going to have the confidence that it's yours. In fact, there's going to be more things that point to it not working, or point to the fact that, all the inadequacies. Your brain will feed you all of the inadequacies, but we have to set those aside. It's commitment that it requires. When we decide in advance, when we see our calling in front of us, and we make the commitment that we're going to do it no matter what, that we're going to take action, we're going to be brave and go after this dream that's been brewing in our hearts for who knows how long, whether it's like a 2 weeks or 20 years. It's the commitment that we get to make first. We get to make the commitment because the commitment demonstrates a trust. It is a trust in ourselves. Now, let me talk about this here, because sometimes we haven't built up that trust in ourselves. I don't keep habits. I've never done this. But the thing is, it's a commitment this commitment demonstrates trust in God. That, okay, I don't know how or what or why, but I know that this is it. We may not know what our calling specifically is, but we can start acting on it and committing that we will clear the clutter, we will figure it out as we go. And that shows us the demonstration. It demonstrates our trust in God because our purpose is from Him in the first place. And so, in Proverbs 16:3, it says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Commit to God opens a way for Him to guide and establish your purpose. You don't have to have the confidence that you know what the results are going to be. That's His. You don't have to have the confidence in your abilities and your skills because you know exactly what to do. We don't. But we can be confident and God will show us the way. He will give us the tools, whether it's for another person, whether it's an actual tool, whether it is a education, like whether it's a circumstance that is do or die and we get it done. But that commitment is what we're looking for. If you allow the commitment to be your first step, the confidence will come as you go and as you clear the way, as you make the mistakes, the missteps, as you make the progress, as you start seeing momentum and action taking place. But if we're waiting for confidence, we're going to be waiting forever. And so the next one is the commitment is a daily choice. We get to make the commitment every day. Confidence is going to come and go because depending on what our circumstance is, it will come and go, and we can have confidence in one area, and then all of a sudden another problem comes and we don't have confidence in that area. And yet we can still commit to ourselves, to God, to our purpose, to the people we have to serve, that I'm going to figure it out. You made a commitment to your kids even before you had them, that you would guide them, help them, parent them. And there are days that I do not have confidence in my parenting abilities. And then there's days that I'm like, oh, I rocked today. Usually it's because I sleep in and I go to bed early. So they just, do what they want, kidding slightly. I have teenagers. So it's not uncommon for them to sleep in. And then every night I go to bed before them. But when we focus on our commitment versus confidence, the commitment is a daily declaration that we can take. It's a daily decision that we make, and that living out our purpose is not a one-time decision. It's every day. What can I do today? And the confidence builds over time. So it's that daily act of choosing commitment over comfort or fear that brings the confidence, that reinforces the commitment. And it's easier tomorrow to make the commitment if you made it today. If you take action today, tomorrow is going to be a lot easier. And so confidence may falter, but a committed heart keeps moving forward. A committed heart keeps moving forward. And so I wanted to talk for a moment about reinforce this idea that God didn't ask us for perfection. He didn't ask us to know exactly what's happening. He didn't ask us to have a clear path before we started. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, he says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness so that Christ's power may rest on me." We don't need to have confidence in our abilities. We have confidence in God's. We don't have to have confidence that we know every step of the way, but we know who does. We know who knows it, who's created the path. I mean, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. He's already established them. That's our job, is to commit. And what could it look like? Before I go into what are 3 things we can do to commit, it's not as hard as you think. But Joshua 1:9 says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." This verse is one that I hold on to because I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I wish that I did. Some days I do wish I had all the answers. That would be really easy. Some days I wish that I could have a redo because I figure out the answers toward the end and be like, okay, well, I know what not to do. But there's times that I have to, majority of the times, that I just get to lean in and trust that God's with me and commit that to whatever action I take, that I know He's going to be with me and the confidence will come. There are days that I get to put on confidence before I think I'm ready for it because I know I have enough information. I have enough fortitude. I have enough skills to say, okay, I'm confident in the fact that I can figure it out. Let's go. But even those days that I don't, because I've made a commitment to myself, I've made a commitment to my purpose, and I've made it, the most important is I've made a commitment to God, I do it anyway. And so I wanted to come up with like 3 things, 3 ways, that 3 action steps you can take. And so it's as simple as say, surrender, schedule. That's it. So say yes to the next step. That's all you have to do. It's just one step at a time. When you learn to walk, you watch your little toddler and they take 1 step and they fall. They take 2 steps and they fall. That's okay because they're getting back up and they're continuing to push forward. Or I watched my niece who, as she's learning to crawl, she gets so angry because when she's learning to crawl, she actually is moving backwards. So she's trying to get the toy, but it keeps getting further away. And it makes me laugh because it's just the whole idea of like, is she still making progress? Yes, she's learning to move. She's just going in the wrong direction, but she'll get there eventually as long as she keeps going. But I just see the frustration in the fact that she is moving and it is getting further away. And then, of course, you hear the little giggles in the background from her mom and dad, who I'm like, that's just cruel. Help the girl out. But we know that's part of the learning process. We don't always need help. We get to explore and try it. So say yes to the next step. You don't need to see the whole journey. What is in your heart? The last podcast, I talked about lessons that I learned from my chickens. And I talked about how you, where was I going with that? Well, I talked about what was that you don't know the next step. Oh, it was the roost one. It's sometimes we have to roost alone. We may not know the next step, but God does. And sometimes things are so loud around us that we actually need to step back and listen to what our own intuition is telling us before we can take the next step. There's so many times we're looking for external validation when really it's internal that we get to look in, because that's where God is going to be like, you know what to do. I've already placed it on your heart. The next is surrender the outcome. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. That's God's. The ripple effects are His. The actions are ours. And the outcomes are His. The results are His. So by surrendering the outcome, we can actually set down the fact that we need the confidence, because the confidence is in the results, right? That we're confident we'll get the results we want. But if we focus on the commitment versus the confidence, then we can set down and we can surrender the outcome and just take that next step that we just said yes to. So it's that release for the need for the perfect results or immediate, like feeling confident about it and trusting that God will use his effort for His glory, or use our effort for His glory. There we go. It's about the effort that we put in. It's about the heart posture. It's about our intention. It's about our taking the brave step and going for what He's placed on our hearts. And so being focused on being faithful in your commitment rather than the process and to the outcome. And then the third is schedule your commitment. We have a saying that if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. I keep telling my kids, like this week being the last week of school for them, they had potlucks and like dirty Santa games. And I'm like, you did not tell me in advance that I needed to make something and get a gift, because if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. So schedule your commitment. So build in practical routine to stay committed. So put it on your calendar and say, okay, this is whether it's sitting and journaling for a little bit, whether it is whatever your next step is, put it on your calendar and do it. commit to yourself. When you put on your calendar, that's a commitment that you're going to stay faithful to your word, that you're going to stay that action step. And it doesn't have to be big. Like, give yourself 30 minutes. You can do anything for 30 minutes. If you want to start a podcast, like for 30 minutes tomorrow or tonight, just sit down and what would you talk about? If you want to write a book, if you want to start a book club, if you want to make something, like I listen to my son, he has this business idea for window washing. And I'm like, sit down and just, where could you go? What could you do? Just sit and get quiet for a moment, but put it on your calendar and then schedule your commitment. When it's on your calendar, when you're committed to it, that's when magic happens. Your purpose, your calling is not going to just magically appear in your lap. You're not going to magically get the results by throwing it out in the world and manifesting it to you. And I don't even think that's really what you want either. I know that the satisfaction comes from the work. I did a podcast a few episodes ago about work may have 4 letters, but it's not a 4-letter word. Our calling, like God could fulfill it without us, but he's partnering with us because he knows that this is what we need in order to feel fulfilled and impactful and peace and joy. It's the actions, it's the process, it's the journey, it's the commitment that brings that. It's that proving to ourselves over and over that we can show up for ourselves and we can show up for those around us. So, friend, your purpose doesn't require your confidence. It requires your commitment. If you can remove the confidence, like if you didn't need that as a prerequisite, if that wasn't one of the checklists before you start, if all you needed to do was commit to yourself that you're going to do one thing to learn, what would that be? Like if you are going to build a new innovation, like first, what if the commitment was just to sit down and draw it out or like hash out the idea? If you wanted to volunteer to be your team mom for a sport or for the class mom for the classroom, then commit to yourself that next time you're going to go to the meetings that plan, and then you're going to raise your hand and say, I'd like to volunteer. If you have a screenwriter, if you want to write a play, like sit down and write some of the outline. One small step. Say yes to the next thing, surrender the outcome, and schedule it. Schedule your commitment. Those 3 things, SSS. If you can do those 3 S's, you are going to get closer and closer to the life of your dreams, to fulfilling your purpose faster than you ever would if you're waiting for confidence. So I hope that you can see that the confidence will come. The confidence comes later. And we earn the confidence. The commitment, though, that's where we start. That's where the rubber meets the road. And that's where the things start to happen around us, is when we commit and then take an action. So what can you commit to today? Could you commit to just sitting for 15, 20 minutes and asking yourself, what is on my heart? What do I want for my life? Don't wait. Time is not our friend. I heard this quote. I think it's Phil Cook who said it. He said, time is not our friend. Our time is our enemy, but timing can be our friend. Meaning that the right timing, but the right timing doesn't come until you start. So time is not our friend. Time is our enemy. But we can take action and then the timing will work out because God orchestrates all of it. He's the God of timing. So friend, I want the confidence for you. I want you to be able to step into your calling, your purpose, that fulfillment, that legacy that you desire. But it starts with making a commitment. Do you want to talk about what your commitment may be? Get on a call with me. Let's talk about what is possible. And then all of those thoughts, that imposter syndrome that is there, let's work to get rid of that. Let's get that gone for 2025. What could happen if you set down imposter syndrome, you set down the confidence level, you set down the unworthiness that you feel, these limiting beliefs, and you're just like, okay, the only thing I'm going to focus on is the commitment I'm making today, and then I'm going to make a next one tomorrow. I'm committing to take one step forward. Get on my calendar. Let's talk. Let me guide you on how to make that commitment, what it could look like, and encourage you to see what's already happening around you. Because I know that when you see that, that confidence will come in and envelop you. So don't wait. Don't take more time waiting for the confidence to show up when you can make the commitment right now. And it's really as simple as, you know what? I'm committed to figuring this out. That's it. That's as simple as it can be. And you'll gain the not only the confidence but the expertise. You'll gain the skills. You'll gain the soft skills, the hard skills, like all the things that you're going to need for it. You can pick those up along the way. It's the commitment that you get to pick up first, that you get to make for yourself and for others. So, friend, get on a call with me and let's talk about what 2025 could look like for you. And until then, I want you to choose joy until joy chooses you. Make a commitment to yourself because it's really not a selfish thing. Us committing to our purpose is actually a life-giving experience to everyone. Because when you are who God called you to be, you can make a bigger impact. You can leave that legacy. You can shine your light, which helps others shine theirs. All right, friend, with that, choose joy until joy chooses you. Get on my calendar. Let's talk about what 2025 could look like if you did not wait for confidence. You did not wait for worthiness. You did not wait for all those things that are lurking around the corner waiting for you. And then all the things that you really already have. We just aren't willing to look at it. But, well, I don't say willing to look at it. That was harsh. That we don't see what's already within us. There we go. That's better. So, friend, say yes to yourself. Say yes to the next thing. Surrender the outcome and schedule it. Schedule your commitment. And let's chat. All right. Bye for now.